Okay, and so now we will move on to our club football power rankings, the GAA Fan TV club football power rankings. We're going to be picking the 10 best teams left in the All-Ireland Club Football Championship. We're going to be ranking them in order from 10 to 1. Now, do bear in mind, look, listen, this is my opinion, and these are my power rankings. They're probably going to be very different to yours, whoever's watching. And I mean, look, listen, this is just a bit of crack, a bit of a laugh. I just am a regular GAA fan. I'm certainly no expert with a suit in the Sunday game, you know, reading off about 100 stats at the one time. I'm certainly not one of those lads, you know. I'm just a regular GAA fan, probably no different to you watching this at home. So these are just my club power rankings, and I know some people can get quite offended sometimes by some of these power rankings because, you know, their team is ranked a lot lower than expected, or, you know, a team that they don't like is ranked higher than the team that they support, and etc, etc. But look, listen, it is just a bit of crack, it is just a bit of a laugh. Do bear that in mind, and before you get very sensitive, just remember that, look, listen, this is just my opinion. But if you do disagree, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And certainly the great thing about sport is we all have different opinions, and that's one of the main reasons why I love making videos, because I love when I see people disagreeing, because, you know, it makes you think and you're like, oh, that's actually a good point, I never thought about that. So yeah, these are my power rankings, and as I said before, like, it's the top 10 down to 1. And look, listen, I haven't seen every club team in Ireland. I haven't seen every club team that's left in the championship. There's a few teams I haven't seen yet. So, like, do bear that in mind. You know, I might be wrong here once or twice, and maybe there's an obvious team left out or whatever. But look, listen, let's just stop rambling on. Let's get into it. So we'll throw an image on screen there. You'll see the 10 teams to 1 there. So in at 10 is Naomh Martin. 9 is, well, actually, we'll run through this again. Naomh Martin of Louth in at number 10. Padraig Pearses of Roscommon in at number 9. Scottstown of Monaghan in at 8. At 7 is Austin Stacks of Kerry. 6 is Dromore of Tyrone. 5 is Waddy Graham's Glen of Derry. 4 is Kilcoo of Down. 3 is Kilmacud Crokes of Dublin. 2 is Knockmore of Mayo, and 1 is Mountbellew Moylock of Galway. And as I said earlier in the podcast, there is no obvious number 1 in my opinion. I think this is so open. I think you can make a case for a lot of these teams to win the All-Ireland. They really do. And when I was doing power rankings for the county championships, for example, you know, when I was doing the power rankings for the top 10 teams that were going to win the All-Ireland championship in the inter-county game, there was probably an obvious top 4. There was an obvious number 1. Dublin were the obvious number 1 at that moment in time. Obviously, they're probably not in the top 3 anymore, but they were the obvious number 1 at that moment in stage. So, I mean, look, listen, honestly, between any of these 10 teams, they could go on a run and win the All-Ireland. Is there any team that didn't make it onto this top 10 that probably would feel a little bit harshly done by? I think Clan Éireann of Armagh, maybe. I was very close to putting them in there at number 10, like with players like Conor Turba, Tiernan Kelly beating Crossmaglen Rangers in the final. They're probably a little bit unlucky, but I can only pick 10. And to be honest with you, I think what Naomh Martin done in that opening round of the Leinster Club Football Championship just about puts them in there at number 10. The fact that I only have 2 Leinster sides in there, if I had to take Naomh Martin out, it would have left just 1 Leinster side. So I don't know, maybe Clan Éireann should get in there instead of number 10, but let me know in the comments down below. And Austin Stacks are in there at number 7. They haven't come through the Kerry Club Senior Football Championship yet. They still have a final against Kerrans or Rathleys. I think if Kerrans or Rathleys were to win that game, I'd still have them at number 7 anyways. If they were to win it quite comfortably and dominantly, maybe I'd put them up a little bit higher. And yeah, just running through the top 10, as I said before, 10 was Naomh Martin of Louth, with Samuel Roy in there and JP Rooney coming off the bench, very experienced footballer. Conor Byrne as well. They have a whole host of talented footballers in there, and they're second favourites to win the Leinster Club Senior Football Championship at the moment, which certainly tells you why they make it into the top 10. They have a good route potentially to the final as well. They play Shelmaliers of Wexford, and then they play the winners of Blessington and Naas. So I think Naomh Martin could make a Leinster Club final, I really do, and that's why I've got them in the top 10. Number 9 is Padraig Pearses. Padraig Pearses is one of them that could be higher. You could easily take them off this, and we will do an updated power rankings as well, so we will update this as the weeks go on, and once one of these sides gets knocked out, we'll take them out and replace them with a team that's left in the All-Ireland Club Football Championship. So Padraig Pearses is in there at number 9. Quite a defensive side, as I said before, and they could pull off a shock against Mountbellew Moylock, and the fact that they're 9 Mountbelly Locker won, and I still think Padraig Pearses could potentially cause an upset, probably tells you that there really isn't much between a lot of these teams. Scottstown is in at number 8. I haven't seen them play in 2021. In all honesty, Monaghan GAA haven't streamed any of their games, which has been very disappointing. But I did watch a lot of them in 2020 and 2019, and I know they have players in there like Rory Began in goal, Kieran and Darren Hughes, and also Conor McCarthy, very notable forward for the Monaghan senior footballers. So they've got a great spine to their team. Like, the spine of their team is almost the same as the Monaghan senior footballers, and they could be a lot higher, they really could, but the reason why I've got them in 8 is because I just haven't seen them in 2021. I do believe their game against Wally Graham's Glen is going to be streamed on TV, so hopefully we'll get a glimpse of that, and then we'll know a little bit more and see where they could potentially move or go lower in the rankings. And in at 7 was Austin Stacks, and yeah, I mean, for Austin Stacks, I definitely think they're a contender for the All-Ireland. Like, as I said before, really between 8 and 1, I think any one of them can win the All-Ireland. You could make a case for Padraig Pearses and Clan Éireann and Naomh Martin. Clan Éireann even aren't even in my top 10. So, you know, there is a potential for Austin Stacks. The reason why I've got them lower than some of the other sides is they have played a lot of divisional sides. Divisional sides don't get to train as consistently as club teams. They are very defensive. They've seen off a lot of teams defensively. They won their last game on penalties, which is a bit of a lottery. They do have a very experienced player in there in Kieran Donaghy, but do they have more than him? I'm not so sure. Look, we'll see what happens. They could easily get beat by Cairns O'Rahilly's, and that's one of the reasons why I've got them a little bit lower as well, because to have them in a 2 or 3 when they haven't even come through Kerry yet will be a little bit disrespectful, I think, to some of the other sides. Dromore are in there at number 6. Could be higher, but a Tyrone side has never come through the Ulster Club Senior Football Championship before, so that's one of the reasons why they're in at number 6. But Dromore, look, listen, they'll be looking to right that wrong, and with players in there like Niall Sludden, who is a very notable player with the Tyrone Senior Footballers, Emmett McNabb, Ronan McNabb, they've done very well to get through Ulster, like fighting back from the dead on a number of occasions against Tralee. They were brilliant in that final against Coal Island as well. They could be a lot higher, but I do think that the other sides in Ulster just have a few better players than them, in my opinion. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Dromore. They're one of those sides, again, that potentially could be higher, that potentially could be lower. Again, we'll have to see how they do against some other sides. And the problem as well is with a lot of these teams, we've never seen them play each other. At least not recently anyway. So that's what makes this very fascinating and very interesting. 5 is Wally Graham's Glen, and I mean, do we buy into the Wally Graham's Glen hype? There's a lot of hype around them. You know, I put out a poll on Instagram to see what people's power rankings were of the All-Ireland Club Football Championship. Almost everyone had Glen at 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of hype around them, and I do find it quite crazy to have so much hype around the team that has never played in the Ulster Club Senior Football Championship up until the most recent weekend. So, you know, unless a lot of these people are time travelling to the future and back and they've seen Glen win the All-Ireland and that's why they're so confident, I'm not so sure. I have them at 5. Look, Conor Glass, Emmett Bradley, good players in there. Danny Talon obviously kicked the winner against St. Eunan's. That, like, St. Eunan's are no mugs. That was a tough game and they came through it. Very dogged display. But it's a tough route for them coming through Ulster. Like, they play Scottstown, who, as we said, we have them at number 8. So, I mean, one of these teams is going to be off the list by the time they play next. You'd have Dromore potentially in the semi-finals. Dromore playing Derry Connolly Harps or Fermanagh. And then you'd potentially have Kilcoo or you know, possibly Clan Éireann in the final. So it's going to be a tough route for them coming through Ulster. I just don't. It's going to be so. We'll need to see them a little bit more, but for the moment I've got them in 5. And the main reason why I have them in 5 and Kilcoo in at number 4 is because Kilcoo we do know a good bit about. They came through Ulster in 2019 or 2020, I suppose. The 2019-2020 Ulster Club Senior Football Championship. They came through Ulster, they beat Ballybowden St Enda's in the semi-finals, and they went all the way to the All-Ireland final and nearly beat Corofin. And a lot of people would probably have Kilcoo in at number 1 with players in there like Ryan Johnston and Conor Laverty and the Brannigan brothers in there as well. I mean, personally, like, I think they have a lot of very good players in there. But look, listen, that was the first time they came through Ulster in quite a long time. You know, there's going to be a target on their back this year. teams are going to look at Kilcoo and they're going to raise their levels a little bit, you know, an extra 10 to 15%, a little bit like Mountbelly, Moylock. And that's one of the reasons, the sneaky feelings why I think they could get caught in Ulster. I have a sneaky feeling Watty Graham's Glen might actually beat them in the final, in all honesty. But like, I can't put Glen above Kilcoo right now because it just makes no sense, because Kilcoo came through Ulster the last time around. So that's what makes these power rankings very, very hard to predict. But Kilcoo are in there at number 4. Maybe you could argue they should be above Kilmacud, because Kilcoo beat the Dublin champions 2 years ago in the semi-finals, the All-Ireland semi-finals, but Kilmacud wiped the floor of Ballyboden, and Ballyboden haven't won a county title since that year. So there's a lot of permutations here, there's a lot of things we'll need to figure out, we'll need to see what happens, but Kilcoo are number 4. 3 was Kilmacud Crokes. I've said it on numerous podcasts before, I do think that Kilmacud Crokes have the potential to be caught, but at the same time, I do think they probably have the best player in the country that's still playing in the All-Ireland Club Football Championship, and that is Paul Mannion. And you see when he gets involved, his influence, he can kick points from distance. You know, you can operate a blanket defence against Kilmacud Crokes, but if you get Paul Mannion on the ball from 30 to 40 metres, he's probably going to put it over the bar. And I think he's just such a huge asset to have in their team. You've got Craig Diaz, who's very good in midfield, does a lot of the unseen work in there. Rory O'Carroll, brilliant defence. They've got a great spine in their team. And when you've got experienced club players in there, like Darren Mullen as well, I think Kilmacud Crokes are looking pretty good, and I think they could go all the way, potentially. Again, there's that thing with Kilmacud Crokes where we've seen them get caught by Mulliniochta. They've had a couple of underwhelming performances in the Dublin Football Championship over the years, and their team hasn't really changed all that much. That's probably one of the reasons why I've got them in 3 and not a little bit higher, but we'll see what happens. I think as the championship goes along, we'll know a little bit more about Kilmacud Crokes, and I definitely, although I have them in 3, they could finish the season at 1, and they could be All-Ireland title. They could win the All-Ireland, like they're that good. 2 is Knockmore, and 1 is Mountbelly and Moylock, so Connacht gets the top 2 at the minute. I mean, Knockmore might be a surprising one for most people to have them in at number 2, but I do think at some point they're going to win an All-Ireland over the next couple of years. I really do. Like, I think they've got experienced players in there like Kevin McLaughlin and Darren McHale. They've a whole host of young players coming through, like Aidan Orne and Pearson Keith Rutledge and Liam Durkin, Conal Dempsey. Like, they have a whole host of players coming through. I don't know if they're there yet, and maybe I'm putting them at number 2 as a little bit high. They probably had Belmulla probably had a tougher route to the final in the Mayo Senior Football Championship as opposed to Knockmore. Their midfield, there's some question marks over that as well, in my opinion. Darren McHale could be injured. You know what? I think I've just talked myself out of having them at number 2, and I think I might just put them a little bit lower. I think I might put Kilmacud at number 2 and maybe Knockmore at number 3. I think I've just talked myself out of it. So there you go. Like, I'm very indecisive with these power rankings. I'm changing my mind every step of the way. I do think they'll win an All-Ireland at some point. I think they definitely have the players to do so. They've talent all over the pitch. Colin Reap in goal is a top-class keeper in there as well for Knockmore. So is it too early in terms of winning an All-Ireland? Maybe. I could see Mountbelly and Moylock beating them. But I think Knockmore have got the potential to go all the way. And that's why they're in at number 3 now as it is. But they're a team that, yeah, they're a potential, like, they're not necessarily dark horses, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if you've seen a lot of those players playing for the Mayo senior footballers over the next couple of years. Like, you have a lot of players in that team that are playing for the under-20s, that will be playing for the under-20s next year. So I think Knockmore are a team worth keeping an eye on, and look, they could do it. They really could. And Mountbelly Moylock at number 1. Look, they beat Moycullen in the semi-finals, who were the current Galway champions. They beat Corofin this year. They beat Corofin last year. We've seen the success of Corofin and what they've done on the All-Ireland club football scene. Mountbelly Moylock, they have, for me, one of the top managers in the country in Val Daly. They've got Michael Daly in around the middle. And you've got so much talent going forward as well, and Owen Finnerty and Barry McHugh there as well. Very physical, strong team. And I think in these wintry conditions, in these tough conditions, they could definitely be a team that could outmuscle teams, that could find a way to win matches by any way possible. If they need to be defensive, they can do that. If they need to be attacking, they can do that also. If they need to press higher up the pitch, they can do that. if they need to play a sweeper, they can do that as well. So I think Mount Ballymaloch are serious contenders. I've got them at number 1 at the minute, but as I said before, is it a decisive number 1? Am I 100% committing to them winning the All-Ireland? I guess I am, but I could change my mind in about 10 minutes time. I really could, because it's so open. It really, really is. But I've got them at number 1. I think I could see them coming through Connacht. And as I said before, as we see this championship go on, as we see more teams play, these power rankings will start to make a lot more sense. It is the first one, and we will start updating this on a weekly basis as we go on. So, but yeah, anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Do let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this video, your predictions for this weekend's action in both hurling and football. Yeah, I'll see you all on Monday for the club review show, and there will be also a couple of match reactions out for a couple of the games happening this weekend as well. So stay tuned for all the action, stay tuned for all the videos coming soon. My name is Aaron, and I'll see you all in the next one.